when I was little, I was like Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn. I would go out into the forest, into the woods, into the nature, and just discover the world. And little by little, I realized that where I was living, I wanted to change. I wanted to discover the world. I wanted to travel. I wanted to be rich. I wanted to dance. I wanted to sing. I wanted to be a doctor. I didn't know what I wanted. I wanted everything and nothing. And I would watch the airplanes in the sky and I would say, one day I'm going to fly in the airplane and go to France. And I realized that in order for me to achieve my goals, there were certain things that I had to do. And the first thing I had to do was be positive. Always find something good around you. And the next thing I realized was that I needed to read. It's very important to read because the more you read, the more you know. And the more you know, the more you learn. And the more you learn, the more you can do. Because I showed you this video because I never thought when I was little that I would make a video. But this video that I just showed you, I sent it to Hollywood and I got a prize for the best lyrics. And I just got an email yesterday from London. And they said, can you send us your video for a festival? I was like, sure. The next thing I learned was to be polite. Why to be polite? Because when you're nice, people are nice to you. When you're nice, people like you. When people like you, they help you. Because everything in life is about people. The world works on people. It's people who make cars. It's people who make motorcycles. It's people who make TVs. It's people who make refrigerators. It's people who pay. So if you stay in your corner and you dream, nothing happens. But if you dream and you do, then things happen. Things change in your life. And that's why when I was little, I would look at the airplane and I would say, I want to fly in that airplane. So the first thing I did was I went to the airport and I said, how much is a ticket? And they said, it's $500. So I went back home and I said, I got to get $500 because I want to travel. I want to go to France. So what did I do? I created a company when I was like 12 years old. And my company was very simple. I would pick up the bottles from the Coca-Cola, take them to the store, and they would give me a penny. And then I said, that's not $500. I need more bottles. So I got 10 bottles. Then I got 100 bottles. Then I got 1,000 bottles. And then I decided, well, I picked up all the bottles in my neighborhood. So I had to go and see like my neighbors. And I said, do you have any old Coca-Cola bottles? And they said, yes, I have them, but I can't give them to you. And so I said to them, I'm going to start a company. I'll clean up your yard. You give me the bottles. They said, okay. So I had one neighbor, then 2, then 5, then 10, then 20. And I said, I have to carry the bottles. So I went to the grocery store and I said, can I have a grocery cart? They were like, no. So I took it. I took the grocery cart. I went to the neighbor's house. I cleaned their yard. I put the bottles in the grocery cart. Took them to the grocery store. And I told them, I said, I took your cart, but this is why I took your cart, to use the bottles. So they said, okay, you can use the cart. So little by little, my desire to go further in life, my dream, I was doing things concretely to make it happen. And then I went to school, and I was like, every day when I went to school, I would read. I would read. My mother worked in the school, so after school, I would go to the library, and I was like, this is my castle. And I have all these books, and I can travel in the books. So I was still dreaming, but I was actually physically doing things to make my dream come a reality. I was selling the bottles, I was reading the books, and then I was listening, because when people would talk to me, they would tell me information that would give me more and more momentum to get closer to my dream. And then I realized that these people were important because Every person that you meet in your life can help you. There's always a moment when you need somebody else. Maybe somebody to talk to. Maybe somebody who will lend you money. Maybe somebody when you're hungry who will feed you. Maybe somebody when you're traveling who will give you a place to stay. Maybe somebody who knows somebody who will give you a job. And then I realized that I had to be a leader and a follower. That means that I had to be the one to decide what was going to happen in my life. And I had to be the one who decided to who I would address, who I would follow to make that happen in my life. She was telling me earlier that some people here who are artists never had artist training. Well, I never had singing training, but I like to sing. And so I taught myself, little by little. When I was younger, like I said, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know if I wanted to be a doctor or an engineer or an astronaut. So I just read and learned as much as I possibly could. And today, I have been a waiter, a singer. What else did I do? I can't remember. I went to university. I've been a teacher. I've been a dancer. I've been in movies. I've been in books. They've written stories about me. And all this because I read and I learned and I met people who taught me, and I taught myself as much as I possibly could learn over the years. And it was in high school and college that it all began. When I was in high school, there was no Barack Obama. But one day I decided I wanted to be in the politics of my university. So I decided to run as a senator. And what I did was I made a sign, vote for Joe. I went and knocked on everybody's door in the university. Hi, my name is Joe, vote for me. Hi, my name is Joe, vote for me. Hi, my name is Joe, vote for me. The next day at the election, I got 99% of the votes. I was Joe Bama. So I was the first black senator in my university. And I realized that the more that I did, the more that I was positive, the more that I was thinking big, the more that I was polite, the more I was talking to people and being nice to people, the more things came to me. Then I got a job as a corporate executive. One day, I bought a shampoo. And the shampoo, it said in the commercial, ah, la, 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 I'm washing my hair, I'm really happy. And it doesn't sting your eyes. Well, I bought the shampoo, I washed my hair, and my eyes were like, oh, I can't believe it's like burning, burning. And the company was L'Oreal Coiffure in Paris. So I sat down at my desk and I said, I'm gonna write them a letter. Dear L'Oreal, my name is Joe. I bought your shampoo. In the commercial, it said, it doesn't sting your eyes, but it stung my eyes. Your marketing is not good. You need me. And they sent me a letter back. Dear Joe, who are you? Come on in. We want to meet you. So I went to L'Oreal. I met them. And they gave me a job. I was the first black executive in L'Oreal Coiffure for black hair care products. So from one day to the next, I became the head of a company. And this is all because I was a dreamer. Because I said to myself, in life, no matter what I study, no matter what I do, what I become depends on me and on my fate. And so I became a singer, a waiter, an acrobat in the circus, a corporate executive, and then one day I woke up and I was blind in my right eye. And I went to the hospital and they said, oh, it's no problem. Here's some medicine, it'll be okay. That was February the 1st, 1995. And then 2 weeks later, on February the 14th, I woke up, I was blind in my left eye. I was handicapped. I had dreamt all my life. I had achieved all my goals. I went to France. I lived in France. I got a job as an executive. I was a singer. I was a waiter. I was doing everything that made me happy. I would draw from time to time. And now I couldn't do anything. I was in the bed. I couldn't see. I couldn't do anything. The nurse came to my room one day and I said, I need to have a piece of paper and a pencil to write to my mother. And she said, but you're blind. And I said, no, I'm not. I said, this is temporary. She said, no, there's an 80% chance that you will never see again. And I said, no. And that's the power of the mind, my mind. Because in my mind, anything I wanted to do in life was possible. But at that moment, nothing was possible. And so I took the paper, and I was sitting there, and I took the pencil, and I was like, dear Mom. And then and the nurse said to me, you're an artist. And then there was like a click in my mind. I said, yes, I am an artist. And I will draw my mother one day because she's my inspiration, but like right now, I can only see blackness. I can't see her face. I don't know what she looks like. And so I began to draw every day when I was blind. I would just take the paper and make an apple, make a circle and a stem, and it was the apple. And I gave it to the nurse. She said, oh, it's beautiful. And I was like, yeah, right. Yeah. And the next day, she come in, I was like, this is a tree. And I would draw it, and I gave it to the nurse. And she was like, oh, this is beautiful. So all the nurses would come to my room, and every day I'd make a drawing. After a year, my sight came back. And when my sight came back, I decided to make my dreams come reality, my true dreams. So I created what's called Joseph's Gift. Joseph's Gift was a book of poetry. And I wrote about 100 poems. And then I said to myself, my job in life, my true vocation, was not to dream, but to inspire. Because sometimes in life, we start out wanting to do something, but life tells us that we have to do something else. And so I said to myself, I've always been a leader, I've always read, I've always painted, I've always sang, so why not make it my life company, Joseph's Gift? And what I did was, I took my poetry book, and every poem became a painting, and every painting became a song, and every song became a video. So today, I have written and recorded 45 albums on the internet, which you have my card, you can go and see. My Facebook page is Joseph Jeremiah Langley. Come and be my friend. I've written 850 songs. And I'm talking with the people at Guinness Book of World Records because they told me, well, you may be the person in the world with the most video clips. I have 450, 420 video clips. And this is all started when I was like sketching in the hospital bed. And I didn't know how to make the video clips, but today with the technology that we have, a simple computer and a telephone, you can make a video clip. And that's what I did. I'm going to show you another video clip. What kind of music do you like? Dance music? Jazz music?
Jazz.
Jazz? You want to see some jazz? Okay.